we live in a time right now where people hate the police. But I want to challenge everybody that's a police officer or considering going into the field to ask yourself that question. How can they hate me if they don't know me? And then when you ask yourself that question, I want you to execute on it. I want you to go out there and do something. I want you to force people to get to know you.
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is your boy, Ryan Tillman, founder of BBU and one of the co-hosts of the It's Needed podcast. Today, this episode is being brought to you guys by the one and only Thin Line Anthem. Thin Line Anthem is a vitamin and supplement brand created specifically for first responders and by first responders. They have vitamins and supplements for every aspect of your life. That includes energy and performance, focus and memory, protein and recovery, and even your sleep. Thin Line Anthem also donates a portion of their proceeds to nonprofit organizations that are dedicated to helping first responders and their families. Check them out at thinlineanthem.com and use promo code It's Needed with all caps and one word at checkout. Again, that's thinlineanthem.com. Use promo code It's Needed, all caps with one word at checkout, so that way you can get 20% off. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy today's episode. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy, Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. Oh, mixing it up.
That's my new intro music right there. You know what I'm saying? We bring it a little different energy this morning.
Mix it. Oh, I think I know why. He must be amped up on his Thin Line Anthem supplements that he just got.
Hey, yeah. Listen. We got something special for y'all. Just know that we got something special for y'all. Life changing.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Good stuff. What's up, Savage? What's up, Billy?
How's it going, everyone?
I love Billy's intro. like me and AJ just come with like all this like excitement and everything, and it's like let me flip it on over to Billy. Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey, we need to take the past 10 episodes of when we asked Billy like, how you doing? And we need to take his response and then our immediate reaction. Just make like a 10-minute clip of that.
I know, bro. Just every single time, bro. Or we need to do it like we need to splice it up like the Jada and Will Smith. Entanglement. So speaking of current events, man, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see, but I guess Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith had like an interview, and they were talking about, I guess when they had some separation, Jada's talking about an entanglement.
That's a new one
with August. And
that's a new one.
Oh man, so I was cracking up. So you know the internet's undefeated, and so man, they made this music video like this DJ put together like this splice of what her saying an entanglement with August.
I didn't see that one.
Bro, I'm gonna show it to you. It's hilarious, bro. So you got all these people dancing from like different movies and stuff.
They tearing my man Will Smith up. They tearing him up on the internet right now.
Bro, one of the funniest memes that I saw though was I saw a meme that says, so are we just all not gonna acknowledge the fact that we have to, or that Will has to deal with the fact that next month is August?
It's August, the whole month. Yeah, we wake up every day like, what month is it? Shut up.
Oh man, so that's trending in current events right now. What's also trending is obviously the uptick in COVID-19. You know,
they said one in every 100 Americans have it.
1 in every 100?
Yep.
But are the hospitalizations going up?
I think hospitalizations are going up. I don't know about deaths. I did hear something about deaths, but here's the thing, man. There's no cure. We're already starting to get some COVID-19 cases where I work, and then also in the city. So, you know, best advice, like I've been telling everybody from day one, is eat healthy and work out. I mean, you do those two things, and you know, hopefully you can, you know, fight the odds, you know, if you do get it. So, what else you got for current events, AJ?
This Detroit shooting. Let's talk about that, man. Let's break down this Detroit shooting. But I didn't know anything about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Before you get into the Detroit shooting, what I do want to do is I want to take a second. We haven't done this in a while, and forgive us for not doing it. Shame on us. But I want to talk about the amount of officers that have been killed in the line of duty this year. So right now we're at 120, which is 43% more than last year at this time. And that's scary. You got 29 by gunfire, 27 auto-related, and 64 others. I think the 64 others is coming from the COVID cases. But the 29 gunfire, man, that is scary. And the mere fact that we're 43% higher now, I know again a lot of that's because of COVID. But man, like the way some of these officers have been dying recently has been tragic. I mean, you had Officer Eldemiro Garza and Ismael Chavez, who were McAllen police officers in Texas, and they were ambushed in response to a domestic violence call. And then you had Anthony Dia. I did a tribute to Anthony Dia last week on Instagram, and he was shot responding to an intoxicated subject. And so I put something up on my story yesterday, and I said, even though law enforcement isn't in the top 10 for most dangerous jobs, we are still the only job that exists where people are actively trying to kill you. And I don't know what other job you can find that where somebody is actually maliciously out to kill you just because you wear a badge and have a gun on your hip. So that's what makes this job so dangerous. I mean, the number one most unpredictable thing in life is human nature, and we can't predict that, man. So my condolences out to the families of those that just recently lost somebody in the line of duty. It's tragic, and we have to do better. I mean, imagine going on a domestic violence call, which is, we already know is inherently dangerous anyway. But imagine just showing up, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the way it read was they showed up like any other call for service, and as soon as they show up to the front door, they're met by gunfire. So they were ambushed, didn't even see it coming. And once they were killed, the guy ended up taking his own life. And then I also saw something the other day, which was another post of an officer talking about all the different tragedies and traumas that we go through as police officers. And so the mental health, because suicide is also up there for one of the killers of police officers, which is really, really high. And so, the dangers that come with this job, not just from a physical standpoint, but from a psychological standpoint, are just deplorable sometimes. So
we're actually working on passing a standard for the state of Ohio through the governor's office to mandate police agencies to have some sort of like mental health expert on call and ready for officers if the case arises. So, if you show up to a shooting or like any sort of traumatic event and you feel like the weight, getting heavy, or, it's kind of affecting you in whatever way, like your department will hopefully soon be mandated to have a mental health expert on call and ready to respond out to that scene.
That's good. Yeah, I know we've put some practices like that in place at my department, which has been working phenomenal. So it's important, man. I was talking to an officer in another state, and he was saying the last time that he got mentally evaluated was when he left the academy. That's a problem, and he's been on the force for like 17 to 20 years. So that's crazy.
So, man, you brought that up, and I was gonna wait to bring this up, but I feel like this is the perfect time to. So, your boy's been at home off work for a while now. Basically waiting on the news for his surgery. Like I pretty much got the head nod from the surgeon that I'm probably going to need surgery, but he can't tell me concrete as of yet. That's neither here nor there.
I can tell you, bro. Dr. Tillman will tell you need surgery, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to need it. But that's neither here nor there. So, I just been watching like a lot of documentaries, and your boy is trying to pick up reading, which is something I really ain't never done, but your boy needs to do it. So anyway, I you know who Darryl Davis is?
That name sounds familiar.
So let me tell you the story of Darryl Davis. Billy, you ever heard this name?
I have not.
So Darryl Davis is a black guy, all right? And I think he's in his 60s now. But when he first started this, he was like in his 20s or 30s. So growing up, Darryl Davis grew up overseas. He had a lot of experience with like other cultures, other races, other religions. So that was like his normal, right? Like people who looked different than him and believed different than him was his normal. His family came over here to America. He experienced racism firsthand. And he didn't comprehend what it was. So his mother told him, like, yeah, these people hate you because you're black. And he's like, well, how can they hate me if they don't know who I am? And he asked his mom that, and she was like trying to, break down like what racism is, like why it is what it is. And he just couldn't comprehend it. So he gets a little bit older. He starts playing the piano, different instruments, starts a band. The band kind of blows up, nothing major, but he's going on tours and whatnot. And I want to say he also did journalism, so he's like writing pieces and whatnot. So he's playing at this bar. He gets done, and this white guy walks up to him, and he's like, "Hey, I haven't heard somebody play the piano like that since." He named some famous guy off who was white, and Darryl Davis goes. He's like, "Well, who taught that person how to play the piano was a famous black artist." And they kind of go back and forth, and they're joking like, nah, that ain't how it went down. And the white guy's like, "Well, let me buy you a drink." And he's like, "All right." So they sit down at the table, they're having their drink, and the white guy goes, "Man, I've never had a drink with a black guy before." Now keep in mind, these guys are in their 30s at this point, right? So Darryl Davis is like, "What? Like, how is that possible? Like, I've had plenty of drinks with white people. Like, how have you never had a drink with a black person?" So this white guy's buddy's like nudging him, like, "Hey, tell him. And the white guy goes, "Well, I'm in the KKK." So Darryl Davis is like, "What? Like, this is crazy." They both bust out laughing. They're like, "Well, what are the odds of this?" They end up chopping it up for a couple hours. Somewhere in that conversation, this KKK member gives Darryl Davis the contact information of like a national leader of the KKK. So Darryl Davis reaches out to his assistant. He's like, "Hey, I want to meet with this national leader from the KKK. Set up a meeting, but don't tell him I'm black." So everyone warned Darryl Davis, like, "Hey, like, don't mess with this guy. Like, he is the real deal. Like, he will have you killed." She's like, whatever, ignored all the warning signs, like, set it up. Long story short, they end up meeting. It was awkward at first. There was a lot of tension. They met for like 2.5 hours. By the end of it, they were laughing. The KKK member gave Darryl Davis his personal cell phone number and was like, "Hey, let's talk again." So Darryl Davis is like, "Of course." Fast forward 2 years, this KKK member starts coming to Darryl Davis's house with a bodyguard. The bodyguard has a gun. Fast forward another year, the KKK member starts coming to Darryl Davis's house without the bodyguard. So he's breaking these barriers, right? Like, slowly but surely, he's breaking these barriers. Fast forward, I want to say it was between 6 and 8 years after the initial meeting. Darryl Davis is invited to the KKK member's house. He's like, "Hey, I want you to come over here," which he's been there before.
Yeah.
But just come over here. He didn't tell him why. Darryl Davis goes over there, and on a hanger, he has his national KKK outfit, the hood, the robe, all that on a hanger. And he hands it to Darryl Davis, and he goes, "I want you to have this. I just quit the KKK, and I want you to have this because you're the reason I quit the KKK." So Darryl Davis was like, wow. Okay, like this is deep. Reaches in his closet, hands him his work uniform. This is where it gets deep. All right, this KKK member reaches in the closet and hands Darryl Davis his work uniform.
Police officer.
What do you think he was a police officer. He hands it. He's like, "Look," he's like, "I'm being asked to resign because I'm this national figure. It's getting brought out, but I'm okay with it. I'm looking at going into other ventures. Like, you've opened my eyes." To date, Darryl Davis is responsible for converting over 200 Klans members. He has all sorts of robes from different ranks, different states, different cities, different groups. And he goes on tour, and he has like a documentary called Accidentally Apologetic or something like that. But his whole premise behind doing this, and the reason he's doing this, goes all the way back to when he was a kid and he first learned about discrimination and racism. And he asked himself a question, and that question was, well, how can they hate me if they don't know me? They
don't even know me, man.
And the entire time I was watching this documentary, I'm trying to figure out, like, how does this apply to my life? We live in a time right now where people hate the police.
Mm-hmm.
People hate the police. I mean, we just talked about the killings. What do you say they up? 50%?
Almost 50. It's 43%.
The killings of police officers are up almost 43%. So it's safe to assume that people hate the police. But I want to challenge everybody that's a police officer or considering going into the field to ask yourself that question. How can they hate me if they don't know me? And then when you ask yourself that question, I want you to execute on it. I want you to go out there and do something. I want you to force people to get to know you. You know, people ask me and Ryan all the time, like, man, how are you guys like so successful? How do you go out here and you build these relationships? On the previous episode, I said, I love nothing more than when I'm driving down the street and somebody flips me off, because it's a challenge, right? And I think when it comes down to when its truest form, that's it. You don't hate me. You don't even know me.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get out the car and let me force you to get to know me. I'm going to talk to you every single day until you get tired and telling me no or walking away, and you're going to go, okay, what do you got to say? And then before you know it, you're going to realize we got something in common. Oh, he like Jordans? I like Jordans too. Oh, you listen to hip hop music? And it was powerful. So I challenge everybody out there to one, do that, but also watch this documentary. Just type in Darryl Davis on YouTube.
Yeah, I was going to say, is the documentary on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. Yep.
I'm gonna watch that today, man. One of the things that I took from what you just said was the fact of, I think change lies within conversation.
100%.
And the reason 100%. I say that is because, I mean, we just a couple weeks ago sat down with my brother Leon. And Leon, who was shot 5 times by police, you know, every single time I see Leon or I say what's up to him, we have a conversation. You know what I mean? And then at the end of that conversation, I'm like, all right, bro, I love you, man. Just met this dude a couple weeks ago. And so same thing with Artie. You know, we've had conversations. And so what we're talking about is not rocket science. I was talking to one of my partners yesterday, and she was saying that, you know, they went on a call for a stolen vehicle. And typically in our city, if you are driving in a stolen vehicle, there's going to be a felony traffic stop that's going to happen. You're going to get taken out. Police are going to be pointing guns at you and stuff like that. And there's many reasons for that without going into all of that right now. And so that happens. And yesterday they did one, and the guy that they pulled over happened to be black. And so that guy is like, you know, oh my goodness, it's because I'm black, it's because of this and that, not realizing that we do this for I mean, we've done this for grandmas, you know what I mean? Just kind of the way, it's just a common practice because it's a high risk situation. So once it was all said and done, that guy was pulled out of the car. He actually ended up being a victim. So he ended up buying the car on OfferUp like 2 days beforehand, not realizing that the person he bought it from has stole the car. And so he was really a victim, but my partners were able to explain that to him in a nice, genuine way. And that guy walked away from that situation being like, oh man, like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I didn't realize it was like that. And again, it's because he had a hate for the badge. He didn't have a hate for the person. So I think the answer falls and lies within conversation with each other. I mean, there's so many times. There's a lady that I'm actually going to be having a conversation with today. Her name is Taylor Rooks. And Taylor Rooks, she does a lot of stuff for the NBA. And I had a conversation with her the other day. And, you know, she was coming at it. Like, she was coming at me with some social issues, which, you know, some people, it's funny because I'll be in like a neutral setting doing panels or whatever, and folks will be like coming at me like, hey, so what about this? What about that? Oh yeah. And the person that's hosting it, he starts to feel kind of awkward because I think he thinks that I feel like I'm being attacked, but I don't feel like I'm being attacked at all. I'm just like, no, this is where I like to have these discussions because that's how we grow closer to each other. And so if you're a listener to this podcast, I encourage you to have these tough conversations with people, but do it from a humanistic standpoint. Don't do it because you're trying to debate somebody. Don't do it because you're trying to prove somebody wrong. Do it because you want to just get to know somebody. You don't even have to start with the topics and the facts. Just start with, like AJ said, man, hey, what's your name, man? Hey, what are some of the things you like? Where are you from? You know, where'd you grow up? You know, what kind of family do you have? You have any brothers, any sisters? Get to know that person as a human first, because once you get to know them as a human, it's going to be a lot harder to hate them. One of the things that, you know, I learned a long time ago, when you talk about brainwashing people or soldiers going into battle and things like that, is they essentially try to flood your mind with all these negative images and all this heinous acts that the person's doing. They're trying to just bombard you with all this imagery of negativity, so that way it desensitizes you to seeing them as a human being, because they realize that if you see him as a human, then it's going to be harder for you to make those tough decisions, which is take a person's life when it comes down to it. But if you don't view them as a human being, if you view them as an enemy, if you view them as an adversary, if you view this person as corrupt or whatever, it's a lot easier to take that life. It's a lot easier to have this hate in your heart towards him because you're not viewing them as a human being. And so I think the answers truly do fall within, just conversation and learning, who this person is as a human being. And we've said that so many times over and over again, but it's so true.
Oh yeah, I just want you to see this picture, man. Like, how powerful of a picture is
Oh
this?
yes, I follow him on Instagram, so I have heard that name. I actually reached out to him because I want to get him on the podcast.
Oh, I didn't know he had an Instagram.
He does. My man has an Instagram for show. It ain't like it ain't an AJ, it ain't an Anthony Johnson. Oh no, it's the Po Instagram page. But,
listen to him.
But
yeah, man. I don't know, like just watching that documentary and realizing like how much it relates to today's times was something special. And it all came down to that real Darryl Davis. Okay, yeah, we gotta get him on.
Yeah, exactly, man. So
and he travels with the uniforms. He travels with the hoods and the robes and all that. He pulls them out and he has pictures of the people who were actually wearing those exact robes. He's like, this is this guy's robe. He took it off his back and gave it to me. It's just like man, if you could convert somebody like who has that much hate in their heart by just having a conversation and genuinely being yourself, like imagine where we could be if we all did that. Like if we all didn't let hate towards us affect who we are as people, and we just ignored it or used it as motivation and just went, you know what? That's powerful right there. And then just took that and go, you know what? Like, I don't care if you hate me right now. I'm gonna give you a chance to know who I actually am. We'll be far in life.
You know what's funny is what's interesting. You brought up the fact that KKK member pulled out another uniform and it was a police officer uniform. So my wife and I were having a conversation and the other day, and it's funny because my wife, she's oblivious to some of the stuff that's going on. Not oblivious. I don't want to say she's oblivious, but in many ways,
don't use that word.
She's not oblivious. So yeah, that was the wrong word to use, but she's more so just trying to gain understanding, and insight into the deeper issues that are going on. And so my wife's a very, very smart woman. And as we're having a conversation, she's asking me the questions like, why do people have, so much disdain for law enforcement and this and that? And, I was, kind of letting her know, like, you got to understand where the history comes from. And I talked about this before on our podcast, but when you have members of the KKK that are police officers, how do you think their policing is going to be? Do you think that you can, be a police officer and not, be biased or prejudiced to the people that you deal with in the scope of your duty? I don't think you can. I don't think you can be a member of the KKK and enforce the law impartially. Like, I don't think it's possible. You know what I mean? So because of that, that's evidence that we do have a broken system in many ways. It's not just our system. There's other systems like that. I'm sure you've had teachers that are KKK members. You don't know, but at the same time, that's where it's like, that those are the areas that we can improve upon in our profession. So I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, man. That was a good conversation. And if you get a chance, please do take a listen to or look at that documentary. I think it'll be very insightful. So moving on, man, let's talk about Detroit, man. I really want to talk about this. I saw the video right before we got on. AJ kind of brought it up to me. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this. Go ahead, AJ.
I don't know all the details. I just seen a quick video. It looked like two police officers were talking to a group of maybe like 2 or 3 guys. And one of the police officers looks at one of the guys and he goes, "Hey, what the F you reaching for?" The guy grabs a gun, pulls it out, and pops a round off at the officer at almost point blank range. I mean, he was no more than 8 to 10 feet away from this officer. Pops a round off on him, misses the officer. The officers return fire and kill the guy. And it's not the shooting, at least that I'm concerned with, because, you can't, I don't know what world we live in where we think that you could just shoot at a police officer and not have any repercussions. It is the reaction from the shooting that I have a major concern with. And that reaction is people are protesting the shooting in Detroit. Like, a lot of people are like downtown protesting the shooting. And my question is if we live in a world where a police officer can't shoot someone that's shooting at them, then what do they have to do in order for us to use deadly force on them? Or do you just not want that to ever be an option? Like, do you just want a police officer to sit there and take rounds? Or do you just want this guy to go around just shooting everybody and first be like, well, we can't shoot them because, we don't want the people to be mad at us. It's concerning. It is concerning.
Well, not only that, I mean, if you, where we're getting at in society, you start taking these options away from police officers. We've already seen it. You got officers retiring at record numbers. You got officers leaving the profession just because they're saying it's not worth it. And then you couple that with some of the law enforcement line of duty deaths like we just talked about. Why would I want to go out there and put myself in harm's way when not only do I know I can potentially lose my life, but I also know that my department or the city may or may not back me just because it's not politically okay to back me. And so, that situation is terrible. And one of the words that comes to mind when we think about that is why. Why are people protesting? I bet if you went out there and asked many of these people why, I honestly don't think that we would get a clear answer why they think they're protesting. I honestly don't think you would get a clear answer. Like people,
No,
I don't think they would be able to say, oh yeah, this is why I'm protesting. I don't think you're going to get a clear answer. What do you think?
It'd be very generic. I feel like the answer would be something along the lines of, well, we're protesting police brutality. And then when you ask them to, touch on that, elaborate on that a little bit more, that's where I think the muckiness would come into play. They'd be like, well, George Floyd would be like, okay, yep, I'm down with that. But like, you're out here talking about the Detroit shooter. Like, can we talk about this a little bit? And I think they just be like, well, they shouldn't have shot him. And there's already videos of people saying like, well, couldn't they have used like least lethal force? What am I trying to say? Less lethal force. There we go. Less lethal force.
Let them know,
Appreciate
Billy.
you,
Let them
Billy.
know.
Or, could you have shot him in the leg or, shot the gun out of his hand or something like that. And it's just like, if we, and I'm talking as we as people, if we as people are going to choose to be so emotionally involved in something, whatever that something is, we as people need to be sure that we know the ins and the outs of it. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves is you see people who are like so emotionally involved in like a celebrity's life, right? Like, oh my goodness, did you see that these celebrities are doing blah, blah, blah? It's just like, you don't know nothing about these celebrities. Like, why are you so emotionally involved in this? Or like people were like, oh my goodness, did you hear that this company is doing this? Like, oh, this is so shocking and I can't believe this and I'm gonna do this. It's like, you don't even know if this is real. Like some teenagers started this on TikTok and like now you're believing it because you're seeing it all over the internet. Like that is my biggest pet peeve. And I hate to say it, but there are a lot of people who are doing that now with this police brutality thing. Like, is there police brutality? Absolutely. Is there racism? Absolutely. But a lot of these instances that people are bringing up, i.e. this newest Detroit shooting, is justified. You can't put these in the same category. And if you do, what's going to happen is you are going to continue to drive this force that's going to cause more and more division between the two groups that should ultimately be one group, which is human beings.
Yep. And so one of the things that came to mind was, we have to define things. We have to understand what things really are in order to see if it actually meets the criteria for what we're claiming or alleging it to be. For example, police brutality. So if you define the word brutality, brutality is defined as a savage physical violence or great cruelty. And so you look at that shooting in Detroit. Was it savage physical violence of great cruelty? Not at all. Not at all. You look at you look at if we looked at it on the street, you're going to look at it as self-defense. What is, savage physical violence and great cruelty is George Floyd all day.
Right.
All day. So that would fall into the category of police brutality. But then you go back and you look at the one in Detroit, doesn't meet that criteria. You look at the one in Atlanta, Rashad Brooks, it doesn't meet that criteria. Was it savage physical violence of great cruelty? It doesn't, because you have a guy that took somebody's taser, tried to use it against the officer, already showed a propensity for violence, and thus for the officers had to respond to that, and in that case, they used deadly force because he deemed his life or somebody else to be an imminent threat to safety. Mm-hmm. So, all I'm getting at is that man, we got to draw the line. Like, we got to start drawing the line, because it is getting to be ridiculous. And the funny thing is, we have so many politicians that are coming out that are. I saw the lady, the Hispanic lady or Latino lady in New York, and she tried to say that violence is up because people are trying to steal bread because unemployments are at all-time highs. AOC, yeah. And in my mind, without getting all political, I'm like, man, we need to just address the white elephant in the room. No, crime is going up because we're not enforcing crime anymore. We're allowing people to gain control of the system, and now people are going to take advantage of that. I look at it like this. You see these videos all the time on Instagram. You leave a room with children in there, and you put a bowl of cookies on that counter, and you take away the parents, and before you leave you say, hey, don't touch those cookies over there, they're freshly made, chocolate chips and sprinkles and everything, but don't touch those cookies. They smell good, don't touch those cookies. Do you think, how many, if you had a room full of 10 kids, how many of those kids you think are going to touch those cookies? Probably a majority, right? And so the reason I use that analogy is because when you remove the balance, when you remove law enforcement, when you take our ability to enforce laws away, when you take away, enhancements on the punishment that you may or may not get if you commit a crime, what do you think people are going to do? They're going to take advantage of the system. And unfortunately, we end up being innocent people, innocent bystanders, because somebody else is trying to get over on the system. It's been proven. It's human nature. It's human nature for us to find shortcuts. It's human nature for us to oppress the weak if we can. So we got to get away from, saying like, look, this is all because of a low unemployment or high unemployment rates. Is it possibly that's a part of it? Maybe. But I highly doubt that it's the leading cause of 125 shootings over the course of how many days? I don't know how many days it was. I mean, you look in Chicago, the murder rate this year is ridiculously high. It seems like every single year it gets higher and higher and higher. That's not because of unemployment. I'm sorry. It's not because of unemployment. Is it a contributing factor? Maybe. But I'm telling you right now, it's not. I saw a video last week of a guy walking down the street with his 4-year-old daughter, and the dude literally is shot point blank by some guys that drove by. Dude collapses and his daughter runs away. How traumatizing is it for that daughter? How traumatizing, despite what that guy did, because I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was just an average Joe Blow citizen, just mind his own business. I don't know if he was a gang member. Who cares, though? But when you allow this lawlessness to take over your city, you can't expect much in return, which is why you've seen the mayor come out in Atlanta talk about, hey, we need y'all to come in and help. And the governor's like, no, you know what? I'm taking over now. Now we got the National Guard in place.
Yep. So Saturday, let me get these. Saturday morning, I woke up. This is at 8 a.m. and I pulled up my news website, which was a horrible mistake. And I'm just gonna read. This is the screenshot of it for those of you who are watching. I'm gonna just read 3 of the headlines that immediately pop up. Keep in mind, these are all different headlines. 4 hours ago, 3 people shot in North Columbus. 4 hours ago, at the exact same time. Teen shot during argument in Northeast Columbus. 17 hours ago. 1 victim in critical condition after shooting in North Columbus. So I see these 3 headlines. I log off. I'm like, I can't do this no more. 8 hours later, I hop back online, go to the same exact website. This is another screenshot. Let me read some of these headlines. 1 dead. This is 52 seconds ago. 1 dead following shooting in Linden. 2 injured in separate Alum Creek shooting. 1 person sustained life-threatening injuries in Southwest Columbus. That was 46 minutes ago. At the exact same time, 2 incidents were taking place. One of our officers got shot in the leg during an altercation working bar special. And on an opposite end of town, still in the city of Columbus, we had somebody ram a police cruiser intentionally. This is where our world is going. And I'm not saying that it's because police officers aren't going out here being proactive, but could that be a possibility? Absolutely. And could you blame a police officer for not wanting to go out here and be proactive during a time where police officers are not only being protested and rioted at their house, but also being convicted of crimes and put in jail for justifyingly doing their job. I can't blame them. I have such mixed feelings about not being at work right now. I truly believe that God does not want me at work right now, so I'm cool with it. I hate not being there for my guys, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Days are crazy right now. I'm low key glad I'm not there. Mm-hmm. That's how crazy things are.
Man, you know what? It's hard to find the hope in all of this, but like I tell you, there is hope, one, in Jesus Christ. But two, I tell you what else got me feeling a lot better about this situation. I don't know if y'all can guess what I'm about to say right now, but Thin Line Anthem got me feeling real good about the situation, because when I went in the gym yesterday, your boy was all the way turned up off of that pre-workout.
Hey, speaking of, Ryan, I need you to hear me out now. Speaking of, you listening, Ryan?
I'm listening.
Need you here with me.
I'm listening.
Mine is on the way. Matter of fact, mine might show up today. So this is what I'm going to challenge you, Ryan. When mine comes in, I want to challenge you to like a transformation challenge. Using only those supplements.
Ooh.
We take the same exact supplements, right? I'll take what was sent to me. You take what was sent to you. We pick a date, all right? So whether that date is like a month or 2 months out, and we take a picture today or tomorrow.
Hey, the Savages in on
take
this
your
too.
shirt off. Let's take the picture right now on the podcast.
Hey, no. Hey, the Savages in on this too.
Oh, bet. Yeah, no.
I wasn't invited. Like, I'm not athletic or something. So
no, because he cheated last time we had all three of us do a competition. He was calling in all his homies.
That's
the
true.
mail-in votes, you know.
That's true. The absentee ballots.
All right. So let's do it.
Okay.
Nothing but thin Line Anthem products. What was sent to us. You let me know what you're taking. I'm gonna let you know what I'm taking. That way it's even. We go out, we kill it, and we still got to figure out the details. What hatch those out? Whether it's like a body fat.
Yeah, let's invite the listeners in on that too once we get the details ironed out.
Yeah, challenge accepted. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. So if you are listening to this, you guys could be a part of this challenge as well. So, but it's got to be Thin Line Anthem products. If you guys haven't noticed and you guys haven't and can't tell, Thin Line Anthem is one of our new sponsors of the podcast, which is phenomenal. So not only is this podcast being brought to you guys by Breaking Barriers United, but it's also being brought to you by Thin Line Anthem products. They're a supplement company that's by law enforcement, for law enforcement and first responders. And you don't obviously have to be a first responder to take their products, but they're pretty phenomenal. I will say I used their pre-workout the other day. And if you like that itchy feeling when you get in there and get all pumped up, it will definitely have you feeling that way. So
that's how you know it's working.
Yeah.
So they got a coupon code they can use. Let's get all these details.
He said a coupon.
What is it? What's it called?
A promo code. Hey, this is the
promo code. Coupon code.
Hey, this is the 21st century, bro. All right. Hey, this is the 21st century. AJ said, "Hey, you can get a coupon. You can put it on layaway." So the promo,
we got a promo
the
code.
promo is what it's needed,
And
right?
The promo code
all caps,
is,
one word.
It's needed.
Billy,
all
get us
caps.
right, man. Billy, get us right, brother.
Yeah, no, he said it. It's needed, all caps, one word, or click the link in the show notes.
And what kind of deal they get? A 20% off?
Yeah, 20% off.
Dang, that's pretty good. You asked me. So shout out to Thin Line Anthem. Appreciate you guys. And moving forward, man, I want to get back to the topic that we were just talking about as far as all this violence against police officers. But, man, it's scary, man. It's dangerous. I don't know. Did you guys see that one girl who lost her dad? She went on Twitter and just to talk about the loss of her dad that recently died the other day. I think he was one of those Texas officers.
Yeah, he was an officer, yeah.
And, bro, Twitter lit her up, bro. Like, it was...
Like, people were saying, like, nobody cares about your dead dad, you stupid bee. Like, horrible things.
Whoa.
Bro, it was...
Because he's a cop?
Yeah, because it was, like, the worst of the worst.
Bro, it was bad, bro. And that wasn't one person, bro. It was, like... over and over and over again, bro. So it was bad. It was real bad. And so hold on one second.
Wow. Man, social media is one of the best but yet worst inventions ever. Like, hands
without a
down.
doubt.
Like,
Without a doubt, man. And
wow.
so that's what's sad is, like, not only do you have to deal with the violence against officers, but now we're dealing with people that are just saying things because they don't know, like they're just ignorant. They're just, it's popular to do that right now. It's
That's
so
it.
popular.
It's a popular thing to do. It's
We've
funny,
made it,
quote
yeah,
unquote.
exactly. Like pop culture has made it so popular to have hate for law enforcement that it's disgusting. And not only that, I mean, we're being blinded right now by a lot of other issues that are going on for the sake of police brutality. What I mean is, like, I don't know if you guys have recently been seeing a thing about sex trafficking, but man, sex trafficking is at an all-time high.
I heard there's more money in sex trafficking than like sports and Hollywood combined, or something crazy like that. And imagine all the people that buy into sports. So who are all these people buying into sex trafficking? You know?
Bro,
it's a thing.
you can I think the last I was talking to somebody that was actually works in sex trafficking, and he was saying that, you know, depending on who you get, I mean, it's $15,000, $20,000 a person. A person. That's larger than any drug sales. That's larger than any, I mean, I don't care what it is what it is. Like, that is astronomical on what people are making off of human trafficking. And so the reason I say that, there's a lot of public figures that have been in this. We saw the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and what's the other guy? I can't remember the other guy's name. He's
Harvey Weinstein? Are you talking about that?
no, not
Yeah,
Harvey
he wasn't-
Weinstein, not Weinstein, but there's another one that has been bumping elbows with all these people in high positions. And so we talk about who can afford it and all the other stuff. There's people that are some credible people doing that. And so we're being distracted by some of the issues that aren't necessarily, I don't want to say they're not real issues, because police brutality isn't an issue, yes, but is it one of the main issues we should be focused on? Not at all. I can go down a whole list of things that should be a priority other than police brutality, because if we look at facts,
Malpractice. Being one of them.
exactly. If we actually look at the facts of what actually is, people are dying at more or being abused at more, police brutality is probably at the bottom of the totem pole. At the bottom, if not close to it. And so, but fortunately, because of the media and everything, they're making it out to seem like this is the huge thing. This is the big push. And what's coming from that is obviously the dismantling of police departments in certain areas, the dismantling of certain crime units in other areas. I just talked about last week how LA County, they're getting rid of the human trafficking unit. So why would you get rid of a unit that is doing phenomenal work, that's trying to, you know, that's always going to be behind the curve, but at the same time, they're trying to be proactive in stopping as much of it as they can. But now we're getting rid of the unit because people have called for defunding police.
Right. And this is the world we live in right now. But like you said, there's hope. There is
hope.
Like we've been real
hope.
negative.
There's definitely hope, man. So, but I want to encourage everybody on here that, you know, don't lose the hope. And we always talk about that, you know, always don't lose the hope, man, because we could still continue to push forward and move forward with everything we got going on.
Ryan, were you looking up that Twitter thing? Is that where we were?
Yeah. I'm looking it up right now. 1 second. If you got something else, go ahead and say it right over, because I'm looking it up right now.
No. I was just curious what the details with that were. So her dad was a police officer who was killed in Texas.
Yeah, so dad was killed in police officer. Dad was killed in police officer. Dad was a police officer killed in Texas. So her name was Savannah Chavez, the teenage daughter of one of two Texas police officers shot and killed last night, posted on Twitter to mourn the loss of her father. She is a child whose father was ambushed responding to a domestic call. Here are some of the responses she got. So I'm going to read them out, and this is devastating. Blue lives don't exist. F yo homie, he dead. OMG, ask your dad how he has been doing. Oh wait, you can't.
Wow.
Aha, boo, or boo-hoo, cry about it anyway. ACAB, guys. F yo daddy. Girl, you couldn't have mourned your dad in peace without having to use that racist hashtag. F your
What
daddy.
hashtag did she use?
I don't know.
She used Blue Lives Matter.
Oh. F your daddy, BLM. F you and your dead daddy. F a cop. F your daddy. Blue lives don't exist. I mean, it just goes on, bro.
So I just pulled it up too, and it looks like she deleted it. Like she had to delete it because she was getting so much negativity. So he was 39. Received messages from people online criticizing her for using a racist hashtag.
That's part of an
saying-
article. The article says that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It says racist hat. Yeah, a racist hashtag.
Was the hashtag she used Blue Lives Matter?
Pretty sure
What's that?
You sent me some screenshots. Let me check it.
Yeah, so I'll read. It says, words cannot describe the pain I'm in, but I'm glad my dad is at peace. You were an amazing man, and everyone who ever came across you knew that. I'm going to miss you so much. You died doing what you loved most. You died a hero. I love you, Daddy. See you soon. Hashtag Blue Lives Matter. I
Bro.
see nothing wrong with this post.
So when does Blue Lives Matter become a racial hashtag? If that's the case, then we should be calling Black Lives Matter a racial hashtag. Seriously.
Exactly.
But and that's the double standard that just irks my nerves, man. On one end, you want to be able to say BLM, but on another end, you criticize somebody for saying Blue Lives Matter.
Wow, man, this is like making me sick to my stomach reading this. Yeah, man. Look, listen. She posted that because she lost her father, who was a police officer. She even put in there, you died doing what you loved the most. This wasn't in response to Black Lives Matter. I could see the frustration to people, you know, if I'm holding a sign saying Black Lives Matter and someone comes to me and says, well, Blue Lives Matter. I could see that frustration. This isn't the case. This woman just lost her dad and she's saying Blue Lives Matter. And this is why I just lost my dad. And people are coming at her neck for that. That makes me sick to my stomach.
Bro.
Sick to my stomach. But you know what? This should be used as motivation to do more. This should be used as motivation to get out your car and get to know people. And I already know what some people are going to think, like, oh, like, here he goes. Like, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, can you imagine if every police officer got out here in these times and just started going above and beyond, helping old ladies cross the street, helping bring in groceries, did everything that we're not expected to do? The same thing that Darryl Davis did to the KKK. He did everything that he wasn't expected to do. The KKK expected him to be ignorant. The KKK expected him to be a criminal. The KKK expected him to not be articulate. He did everything that he wasn't expected to do. And look at the impact he had. If every police officer did that, man, they would be tearing up the people who made those comments. That would be is what's on the news.
Yep.
People would be like, you said what? Like, this is no, I know, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm friends with officer, whatever. And it's sad we have to do that. I get it. But these are the times we live in. And I'm a huge proponent and a huge advocate of when times get hard, you get harder.
Yep.
You know, pressure makes diamonds. Like you got to shine when it's the darkest. And right now it's pretty dark. So you got to turn your light up. You can't allow this negativity to bring you down. It seems like almost every day we turn on the TV, we have a conversation, we get a text message, we get a phone call, and it's negative, it's racist, it's violence, it's sexist, it's not inclusive, you didn't use the right whatever. And it's just like being pumped down our throats every single day. Step one is you have to protect your positivity. You have to protect your heart. You have to protect you. If that means you got to get off social media, do that. If that means you got to filter who you talk to and whatever for a moment to gather your thoughts and make sure you're squared away, do that. Step two is you have to come up with a plan. You have to come up with an action plan. And what that may look like is stepping out of your comfort zone and being like, oh, you hate me? Okay. Say you hate me in 2 weeks when you get to know me. Yep. And then we can have this conversation.
I'm going to encourage you. Oh, go ahead, AJ.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. You.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to encourage everybody listening to this to get out of their comfort zone, step up and say something. But make sure you say something, leave the emotion at the door. Actually, no. I want to keep the emotion there because people need to be able to see your emotion, but it's got to be based off of logic. It can't be based off of some, errant fact that you got from somebody's social media account that just makes stuff to fuel fires. I want you to step up and say something. I think about all the police officers out there, and I'm talking specifically to police officers right now, is by you being silent, you're not contributing to the solution. And I get it because you may not know what to say. You may not know how to say it. But you got to get out of your comfort zone and get people to know you. And when I say being silent, I'm not talking about going out there and saying, you know, this is wrong or this is right or nothing like that. I'm talking about getting out of your comfort zone and getting to know people more, making every single effort whenever you get out of your patrol car to go beyond just the call for service. Get to know them, get to know who they are, understand where they're coming from, why they're in this situation they're in. Just last night, and this isn't to get on my high horse, but just last night, man, so it's a crazy story. Where are we at on time, Billy?
51.
Okay, so just last night, we literally had, so yesterday morning, there was a guy at one of the local motels in our city. He had broken a window at that motel to go in, and I guess, I don't know if he was sleeping or what. So then he left there. Officers went there, couldn't find him. One of our officers looked down in the in the wash and saw some guy that was passed out. So matter of fact, Officer Mason, he was on our podcast. So he was one of the officers that went, and they see him down in the wash and he's not breathing. So, and they see drug paraphernalia around him. So it's apparent that he's having an overdose. So they go down there and dude's not breathing. Officer Mason actually starts CPR on him. So Officer Mason starts CPR on him. He goes CPR for about a minute. The guy actually starts getting a pulse back and starts coming back to it, but you can still see he's having an overdose. And so what the two officers do is they administer Narcan to him through his nasal passage, and still doesn't work, and they administer a second dose, and then he finally comes back. Long story short, fire gets there. They take him to the hospital, ultimately saved this guy's life. So the guy goes to the hospital, and then at night, mind you, this was yesterday morning. So then last night, probably around like 9 or 10 o'clock, we get a call back to the hospital because they're saying some guy is kind of combative with the ambulance patients, or the not the ambulance patients, the people that work for the ambulance, AMAR. So anyways, we go back, and then he's gone. So I'm looking in the area for him, and I see this guy like with no shirt on, tattooed, you know, all over his body, which is fine. And he's like stumbling and drooling. And I'm like, you know, almost look like a zombie walking. So I'm like, oh, this must be the guy right here. So we go out with him, and my man, like, you can tell he's still out of it. I guess the hospital discharged him, but my man is still out of it. So we get to talking. I'm not even going in under the whole, you know, hey man, what's your name? Run him, see if he has any warrants, see if I can take him to jail or nothing like that. I could tell my man is having a rough day. You know what I mean? I realized like this is probably the guy that was just not but 10 hours ago was overdosing. So we talk, and you know, I try, hey man, is there anybody we can call to come pick you up? Because he's like crying and stuff, like hysterically and just all types of stuff. Like, anybody we can call? He's like, nah man, like you know, my grandma. So I call his grandma doesn't, or his mom doesn't answer. Call somebody else, she don't answer. So ultimately I'm like, man, there's really not much we can do. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go across the street real quick. I'm gonna go to Jack in the Box and get you some food, man, because you're probably hungry. I asked, I was like, you hungry? He was like, yeah man, I'm hungry. So I go across the street, get him some food, and you know, bring it back to him when he eats. And so, you know, as I leave, I give him the food. He's very thankful, and he's crying, man. And so as I leave, I come back, man. Holy Spirit's just ministering to me. I was like, hey, man, you mind if I pray for you? So he was like, man, no, not at all. So I prayed for this dude last night on the side of the road, and he's crying and stuff like that, and he goes on his way. The reason I bring that story up is because I don't know if this guy is going to go out and continue to abuse drugs. I don't know if he is going to go back to jail, because he did have a rap sheet and he's done some things in his past. But here's the reality, is that might have been an opportunity for me to either answer a call or not answer a call by God to intervene in this guy's life. You know, not only was his life just saved that morning, that might have been God's pardon on his life to say, hey, I'm gonna give you another chance. And that time last night when I saw him could have been the opportunity to say, God, okay, or that God is like, I need you to intervene now through prayer, the spiritual side, and get this guy connected. Now, I don't know if he's going to answer that call or not. That's on him. But I wanted to make sure I answered my call. And my call was to get this guy some food. The Bible talks about making sure we're taking care of our people, taking care of the homeless and all that other stuff, but also praying for this dude, man. And so the reason I bring that up is because I want you guys to understand is, are you answering your call every single day you go to work? Are you? Or are you going to write them off? Because it would have been easy to just write this dude off. Oh man, he's a turd. You know, he's been in and out of jail. He's just a part of the problem. He's just a social. He doesn't belong out here on these streets. He belongs to be locked up. I could have easily said that, but I didn't. I chose to say, you know what? No, I need to extend some grace and mercy to this dude. It's not my place to judge, because Lord knows I've been involved in my own crap. So it's not my place to judge. I need to extend some grace and mercy. And so my question to you, if you're an officer, is, are you answering that call every single day to extend the same grace and mercy to people in their lives, even though they may not deserve it? That's how we start to move the pendulum forward. That's how we start to stimulate change within our profession. That's what I mean when I talk about the officer staying silent. No, I'm not saying go out there and call out bad officers like I do sometimes. I'm not saying go out there and say, hey, you know what, you need to be an activist. I'm saying that when you go to your day-to-day job and you go on call after call after call, are you answering the call to be something more than just a police officer in a person's life? That's what I'm saying. And so I think if we start doing more of that as police officers, we'll start to see the slow, gradual change that we need. But at the same time, to the civilians out there, this is not a one-way street. This is not a one-way street. It has to go both ways. You got to extend that grace and that mercy to police officers. The people that were commenting on that girl's status of her dad that just lost his life, shame on you. Shame on you. You know what I mean? But you know what? I ask that God would also forgive you for your ignorance. And I'd ask that somebody would reach out to you, even though you don't deserve it. Somebody would reach out to you and still love you, because that to me shows a lack of love in your life. That to me shows a lack of grace in your life. That to me shows a lack of mercy in your life. Because if you have the audacity to go out there and say that about that girl and that girl's dad, that tells me that you're missing something in your life. So I want you to know that I love you, I forgive you, but shame on you, because what you did was wrong. And I think if we start calling people to the table and start calling out the actions of others and start holding people accountable with love, then we can move forward in the right direction.
You hit the nail right on the head, brother. You said that to me shows that you have a lack of love. What better calling to be that love? Police officer or not, right? Like, even if you're off duty and you come across somebody that is upset at the store or going back and forth with whoever, or you see something online, like, what better opportunity to be that love, to be that light that the world needs right now. Like, look, it's no secret. It is no secret. Like, we live in rough times. Like, 2020 ain't no joke. Like, 2020 did not come to play, and it's been rough. I mean, it seems like it's just been one thing after another. But I say that to say this. This is our time.
It is.
This is our time. We could look back 20 to 30 years from now and go, man, I let 2020 consume me. And I was just in this dark place. And, I really became somebody that I wasn't proud of. And, I did some things that I'm not proud of. And, I have so many regrets. Or you could look back and go, you know what? All that negativity and all that weight aside, I put on. I started grinding. I did what I needed to do. I went above and beyond. And because I did that, look where I'm at now. Or look where the world's at now. Look where my family's at now. Look where my loved ones are at now. Look where the new friends that I have are at now, and those relationships that I built. Like, look where we're at now. Now is the time. Now is the time. Like, it's easy to do good when life is easy. It's easy. It's so, when life is easy, oh man, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go out. Life is good. All the bills are paid. I don't got no worry. There's no pandemic. No, people don't hate me. I'm gonna go out and do all this good. Selfie with a homeless person. Like, all that is good. And it's easy to do. But it's when life is hard. It's when you fall flat on your face. That's the time you need to get up, look around, and come up with a game plan. Like, okay, there's no one around to help me out. I'm going to help this person. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And I'm telling you, it will help you in the long run. And that's a very selfish way to look at it, because you shouldn't look at it that way, right? Like, oh, if I help this person, it'll help me in the long run. But it will, right? Like, I'm going to just be real with you. It'll help you in the long run. But at the end of the day, it's doing what's right. It's doing what's right. Suck it up. I hate to be that guy, and I hate to use that term. 2020 ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
Yep.
We ain't even in August yet. And trust me, Will Smith is not looking forward to August.
No, he's not.
We ain't even in August
Too many
yet.
entanglements going on.
Too many entanglements. 2020 ain't going anywhere. So suck it up, keep that chin up high, and do what's right. Do what's right. Whether you're a police officer, get in that cruiser, somebody flips you off, set your pride aside, set your emotions aside, park the car, don't aggressively whip it to the side because you mad. Hop out the car and say, hey, man, I noticed you flipped me off. Like, can we talk about that? Chances are he might be like, no, F you. Okay.
All right, for sure.
Remember who he is. Get back in your car. And if you see him again, politely come up to him again. Hey, my name is AJ. I see you got some J's on. I got them same J's. Or I'll see you with the Nike jacket. I got one that's similar to that, but mine ripped. And you just have a conversation with him.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you, you'll see it. And if you're not a police officer, do the exact same thing. You might see a police officer. You might be like, man, F12. I hate them. They're so racist. Set all that aside. Have a conversation with them. Who knows? That cop might be like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I got all this stuff going on. I got runs I got to go to. I just left a rape, blah, blah, blah. Show him some grace. Show him some mercy.
It's like Jeezy said, I put on for my city, on for my city.
And listen, put on for some people. Like, there's too much negativity. There's too much darkness. Like be that positivity the world needs right now, and people will attract towards it because people just need it.
Yep. Exactly, man. So last thing I want to talk about real quick before we hop off this podcast, I saw an article yesterday saying that I guess LeBron James and AD opted not to put the social justice names on the back of their jerseys.
What?
Stating that, hey, they definitely believe that there's social issues that are going on, but they believe that there's more ways that they can contribute to the social issues as opposed to just putting a name on the back of their jersey. And I thought that was the coolest thing, and here's why.
Whoa.
That was a powerful, and I didn't see that coming at all by LeBron James or AD. But the mere fact that those guys can see, I'm all about change. Like I told you guys, I talked to Dak Prescott. We had dinner a couple weeks ago, and when we had dinner, man, like that's somebody. I know, like
I got chill with Oprah. I went and chill with Dak Prescott, and Mama called me.
Nah, but real talk though, like he's somebody that, with his stature and with his influence, even though he is adamant about social change, he also is adamant about being a part of the change. And so when AD and LeBron said that was actually pretty cool because, like I've said this from day one, it goes beyond just a hashtag. It goes beyond just a name. How easy is it just to throw a hashtag on the back of your jersey and say, oh, I'm a part of the change, without actually really doing something for the change? So I thought that was so cool. And then there was also an article about Michael Jordan talking about how he's tired of seeing what's going on, and MJ saying like, look, yes, I'm all about social change, I'm all about police reform, but I'm also not going to have you guys stand here and bash police officers like you guys are, because police officers to come to the help of my family. My dad was innocently gunned down by somebody, and so police officer helped me during those trying times, so I'm not going to just stand here and just watch you guys tear each other apart. So I found hope in that, knowing that even though these guys have platforms, they're not just drinking all the Kool-Aid as everybody else is, just saying, I'm going to put a name. And I'm not saying that you are if you're putting a name on your back of your jersey, but if you're going to put something on the back of your jersey, what are you doing off the court? What are you doing off the football field? What are you doing outside of the gym to actually be a part of that change? And if you are adamant about being a part of the change, go out and do something about it. You know what I mean? It's easy to get a microphone and just stand up and speak. What are you actually doing about it? So I just thought that was cool, man. That was where my hope, I got some hope out of that. So find little victories like that when you read articles. If you're reading articles, read positive stuff. Don't be reading all the negative stuff. I know it's hard. I mean, I just got something on my feed right now, my Instagram feed, saying that there was a 1-year-old baby that was shot and killed in New York, going back to the gun violence over the weekend. That's terrible. But don't get inundated with the negativity, because if you do, you're going to start falling victim of that. And next thing you know, you're going to go into a hole that you can't get out of. So with that being said, hey, again, this podcast is being brought to you by Breaking Barriers United. Appreciate everybody, all the work that's goes into getting this. Billy, AJ. It also is brought to you guys by Thin Line Anthem, the supplement company. They are a new sponsor, so shout out to them. Shout out to them for being our first sponsor. And if you guys are a fan of this podcast, please make sure you guys join us on our private Facebook page, which is under #IsNeeded. You guys can join me and Billy on there. AJ got the boot from the government, from Uncle Sam. He got the boot, so he's no longer on there.
Free me.
Yeah, so free AJ. But also, if you guys would like, please make sure to leave a review. I was reading some of our reviews yesterday on the podcast, which were phenomenal reviews. And so, everything we say on this podcast, we're not saying it for you guys to always agree with us. Sometimes we're going to say stuff that you don't agree, but you know what? It's okay, because as long as we can have transparent dialogue with one another, that's how we keep the pendulum moving forward. If you guys don't know, follow AJ on Instagram at Oh No It's the Popo. Follow me at Breaking Barriers United on Instagram, so that way you guys can see real up-to-date information on a lot of the topics that we're discussing today. So, man, I sound like a radio voice now, bro. I'm over here just getting into the flow of things. So
you do. Hey, we gonna have those details about that challenge soon. As soon as we get those details, we're gonna post them on their private Facebook group first, because they get the content first, and then we'll announce them on the podcast maybe like next week. But in the meantime, order those supplements, and we're gonna start this challenge.
Yeah, shout out. And then also, we may be having, I don't know if you guys follow Angela Stanton. She's running for Congress. She is a beast. That's all I can say. I did a live with her the other day, and man, she's the real deal. So we're supposed to be having her coming on. Also, Christine Devine, she's one of our local news anchors out here for Fox 11, but she's also done some things on the national platform too. So we're gonna probably have her on here as well. But if there's any other podcast guests that you guys would like to see, just make sure you guys DM us and also DM them. Blow up their Instagram page and say, hey, look, you need to be a guest on their podcast, so that way we can bring them in here. I would imagine next week we'll probably be back to having some guests. We know you guys love the guests, so we'll get some more back on here for you guys. All right. So that being said, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys so much. I know AJ and Billy feel the same exact way. And with that being said, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.